driving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Dragonflower podcast. Recovery here with our Trudging Together. Go to the website. You'll find so many more podcasts. This is number 12. Oh my gosh, Bobbie, here's my trusty partner and another fellow servant of recovery, Miss Bobbie. Say hello.
Hey, everyone. Welcome. I'm so glad you guys are all here. I'm so excited to do today's topic.
And we don't represent one 12-step recovery. We represent so many. There's so many healing tools in all the recovery programs and that help us on our journey. Bobbie and I are here to share our experience, strength, and hope. I'm Mandi, and our survival journey to a healthier life. You know, we've done so much. We've come so far, so much progression. And today is a very sensitive topic, you know, very triggering for some people. So please be aware. If Bobbie would like to, touch a bit on our topic and let everybody know, our listeners.
Okay, so today's topic is on domestic violence and suicide awareness. Both of these topics come very close to heart to me and Mandi. We are both survivors. We are survivors, and it's a proud feeling that I can say that today, that I'm a survivor, and I'm so proud that I'm here today, and through all the scars, and some of them were very, very deep, that we can share with others, that, you know, people that know us and see us, you know, Mandi's always smiling, I'm always smiling, but we weren't always smiling and happy. You know, we weren't always this person. Recovery got us to where we were, to where we are today, to where we can actually talk about these things that happened in our past, people that the person we were back years ago. And today, we do live, for the most part, happy, joyous, and free. You know, not every day is perfect. We still struggle a little bit. Little things, little triggers that come up, and, you know, maybe kind of jog the memory a little bit of something maybe we've forgotten. But what we have today is, I can call Mandi, I can call another friend, I can call someone, I can talk about it in a meeting, and I can get a good night's sleep. We were just actually talking about that. So today, I am very grateful. And I know I am honored and blessed to be a survivor, that I'm able to talk about it and be alive today to talk about it.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Bobbie. You know, domestic violence is something that, you know, can always be talked about. Anybody I meet, they've always been affected by it somehow, some way, or they know someone who's been affected by it somehow, some way. You know, and same with suicide. Sometimes domestic violence even comes to suicide because you feel like you have no way out in those situations. You talk about smiling and happy. I remember forcing it. I was forcing myself to be smiling and happy for my kids, smiling and happy for people around me so they wouldn't ask questions or dig too deep. I didn't want to end up a gush of tears. I had to put on a face. So, I mean, now I'm not forced. It's real. My smiles and my happiness are real. And when I feel sad and upset, I don't feel afraid to show those emotions either. Because I was afraid. I would like cry in the closet all the time, or I would have to, you know, lock myself in the bathroom and have a shower to cry, because I just couldn't show those feelings. It would be another problem that would come up, and it wasn't something I was free to do. Even as a child growing up, my emotions were a problem. Go to your room, you know, do your emotions in your room. So, I mean, the past versus now, oh my gosh, what differences. And you mentioned triggers, PTSD, that all comes back. Like you and I were in a meeting last night, and these cobwebs, they get cleared as we become a healthier person and realize what patterns are not healthy and what patterns are healthy, and what healthy relationships look like and should be, and what we're still learning. You know, I'm not perfect. I don't know everything about a healthy relationship, but I'm learning because I'm trying to be a person who gives a healthy relationship to someone as well, and friendship, as a parent, as, you know, in a relationship as well. And you say calling someone, it's so important. The fellowship has been the most important thing, because it's like family, and I live far away from my family, so I miss them terribly, and the only thing I have is the phone or the internet. And it's funny I say that, because my recovery people, it's all the phone or the internet. So it's basically the same. So I have my family, but they're not in recovery, but they still They're healing, they're doing their own healing journey, and they appreciate mine as well and respect mine, which is wonderful, as I respect them, and letting things go. You mentioned letting things go. I can let things go so much easier. Some days I can't, which is fine, because really the next day I know I can let it all go, because I've learned how to do that in the tools of recovery. I've learned how to let things go. Some things take longer than others. And then you mentioned feeling safe. Feeling safe even to trust myself and my own opinions and my own decision making skills that I never trusted before, because I was told that no, you can't, you don't have a voice, you don't get to make decisions, your opinion doesn't matter. I was told what to do, and it's so nice to finally, like I said, be smiling and happy for real and not feel that my life is not worth living, because it is so wonderful. Life is amazing. And to look at it now compared to even 7 years ago, I didn't think I could be happy again like this, or, just can't wait to, do anything or nothing. Just be happy in myself and with myself. And you know what I mean.
I do. And I think like when we're talking about, this topic, I think I want to clear a few things for everyone out there. So first of all, some people will see a woman with okay, so let's talk about the different types of domestic violence. Okay, you have physical abuse and mental abuse, financial abuse, sexual abuse. So the obvious one, you see a woman with black eyes, and men too. Women can be violent. So I'm going to go both. But for me, I'm a female, so I'm going to go with me and Mandy are female. So I'm going to go with the female version of this.
Scratches on their neck, deep scratches from women going crazy.
Yeah. So those are the obvious ones. And, and then you hear people say, I would never put up with that. So let me just say, when I was 5 years old, and then when Mandy was 5 years old, I think we're the same on this topic, is we didn't say, when I grow up, I want someone to abuse me. I didn't want someone to beat me up. And no one wants to stay. No one wants to stay. So it doesn't just start off with somebody punching you in the face. It is molding you. It's demeaning you. So the mental abuse usually takes hold first. They start to mold you. They start to belittle you. Nobody would want you. Nobody would ever want you if I didn't want you. You're ugly. You're fat. You're skinny. All these things that kind of just start tearing you apart. It's piece by piece. So then when the physical abuse actually happens, and sometimes it does happen right away, but I think for in general, it starts off by the molding with the mental abuse. So by the time the physical abuse comes around, you feel like you deserve it. If I was a better woman, if I was a better wife, if I was better in sexually, if these things wouldn't happen, all these things that mold you to think that this is where you deserve, this is the person. And a lot of it does stem also from your childhood. If you have a happy, loving childhood, you have a little bit more self-esteem. But someone like me, who did not have a healthy childhood and was bullied and abused, and so when a man comes into my life and says, you're nothing, you're a piece of shit, you're ugly, of course you're going to believe it, because you've already heard it most of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So physical abuse is not a woman's dream come true. This is not what this little girl, a 5-year-old girl, dreams of living her life. Mm-hmm. And it is not just as easy. I know women who are lawyers, doctors, that are being physically and mentally abused at home, and they are financially secure. They are educated women, yet they still stay. It is not an economic thing. It is not because a woman is stupid. It's because it's something, there's esteem that this is where they belong. So because there's so many programs, in a 12-step recovery is a great way to start. For me, that's what helped me to realize enough is enough. No one is allowed to put their hands on me. No one is not even allowed to call me a bitch. I mean, I don't even tolerate that anymore. But there was a time when you could call me a bitch and I'd say, you're probably right. You could call me the C word and I would say, you're right. You could slap me in the face and I would say, I'm sorry for upsetting you. So this is where our topic is going today. And yes, it is a very triggering topic for many people. And I want to apologize in advance if you're triggered. But with the pain comes the healing. And for me and Mandy, we had to go through a lot of pain and a lot of growth and a lot of recovery to get to where we are today, which is strong women that are the next generation, empowering the next generation of it is not okay. and empower them to love themselves. Because if we don't love ourselves, we don't find a way to love ourselves, we will let ourselves continue to be abused.
Hmm. Definitely. Like self-love is huge. Self-value, self-worth, self-respect, trusting ourselves. Because, we felt like we didn't have a voice. I have a reading here from Days of Healing, Days of Joy, and it's daily meditations for adult children. This is March 5th, and it's no voice equals no choice. No choice equals no power. From now on, I want to be heard. A quote by Dave C. And it's, do you want me to read it? I mean, it's a really good reading. And so without a voice, we don't have choice or power. Children are the members of society who often have no voice. Nearly all of us grew up to the tune of children should be seen, not heard, or some variation of that imperative. In our dysfunctional homes, we learned that we, the children, had no say in what happened. The result was devastating. Unless we take conscious issue with them, the crimes of the past repeat themselves in the present and future. It's quite possible to grow old and die marching along blindly, silently, passively to the same sad tune piped to us in our youth, those patterns. But who says you and I should have no voice today? Need we still give those people from our past such power in our lives? No matter how timid, unsure, or frightened we feel, we must practice saying, I'm here, I count, this is what I think. It is a wonderful, healthy thing to stand up and speak out. We all deserve to be heard. Today, I thank God for the miracle of finding my own voice after being mute for so long. And as a parent, I make a lot of decisions, but I didn't feel as an equal partner in my marriage. I did not. I did not at all. I just felt like a second, not even, probably lower down the totem pole most times. And even in the scheme of being, I had a lot of responsibility put on me as a child because I was the oldest, but I didn't feel that it was respected responsibility, or it was just obligation, or, I had no choice type thing. And I couldn't speak up. I couldn't say how I felt. I just had to do it. And I mean, a lot of people grow up that way. The generations are so different, right? Just do as you're told. Don't talk back. Just like we had the men's panel saying, put on your, don't be a man, grow up, grow a pair, whatever. We have to break those old patterns if we don't feel that they are healthy or good for ourselves or our children. And we see the damage that it's done to us mentally, spiritually, but we overcome. We overcome. And no voice equals no choice. It's so true. I mean, we do have the choice to not speak up, but I choose to speak up because I can. And I've learned that I don't have to listen to anybody else to not speak up, for sure.
That's a great reading you had. And, it makes me think. I think as children, growing up in dysfunctional homes, so I was in survival mode for me early on because I was the abuse, the verbal abuse and physical abuse in my home. So I wasn't muted. I would say that out of the three of us, my sister was probably the muted one, and I was the one that was survival mode. I just did what I had to do. It didn't matter to survive because that's just the type of environment that I was growing up in. Is you had to survive, and so I learned manipulation. I learned to be selfish. I learned to be conniving, and I took that with me but you can just switch it off because one person comes along and says you're nothing again as an adult, and you go right back to that childhood, and maybe your tools are not as strong, or your self is not as strong, and so you start to believe it and think, wow, when I was a child I heard this, and now I'm hearing it as an adult, it must be true. I must be nothing. And so we break these patterns, and it happens for everyone. And it at some point, for me, I feel like I was fortunate, and I know Mandy was fortunate, where I was just driving down a road one day and I just said, I'm not doing this anymore. Enough. I'm either going to die today or I'm going to start living. And by the grace of God, I started living, and I found recovery. That day I found recovery, and I wasn't thinking I was the problem. Everyone else was still the problem at the time. But then I realized the problem was within me. It's this soul had been damaged. This inner child had been abused so much and so damaged that it needed a lot of healing, a lot of healing. And by the grace of God, I got that healing. And today, I can handle the new triggers and not go out and use and try to numb myself because it's so painful. I talk about it. So I just want to keep through this whole podcast, just keep stressing to people that nobody asks to be abused. Nobody wants to be abused. When your soul is so damaged and your mind is so damaged that it believes what the abuser is saying, it's hard for you to just get up and leave. I don't care what your education and what your financial. I've never been without a job. I have an education, yet I stayed because that's where I belonged.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was worthy of.
Mm-hmm.
So no one asks to grow up and be given black eyes as a gift. No one asks for that. It's where they feel they deserve. That's where their mind tells them they need to be. And we're here to just tell you, you really do deserve so much better, and you are a beautiful person. And we hope that this podcast helps people say that they've had enough.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about that before the reading about, it's the conditioning. They people tear you down and they want to control you and they want to make sure that you go along with what they want. You don't even notice because it happens. Because even now that I'm not caught up in it, I think, wow, I can't believe I stayed, or I can't believe that I wasn't strong enough. I didn't have enough confidence in myself that I could make it on my own. I really didn't. And it's so easy to go back into that. You come out of a low self-esteem in childhood and you build that up and you try and figure out so many different ways. Man, I tried so many. I went to therapy and counseling and I tried medication, and I went to the library and did my own research and tried meditation and yoga and like all the stuff, right? And some helps different parts of your life. And I built myself up, but then you get swept away and in a relationship that has red flags that you just don't know, and you're not educated enough or realize enough, and you fall for all these things. You get gaslighted and manipulated, and you get caught up in it, and then you feel stuck almost. But you still love the person. And that, I'm talking to someone else this week and saying you can still love toxic people. Sometimes you can't help who you have feelings for, that you care about, and they're not good for you. It doesn't matter how much you love someone, you can't love their toxicity away, But I have to work on my own. That's the important part, because that's what I can change. I can change my way of thinking and my bad behaviors and, my traits that I've developed over time. You talked about survival traits. You don't even realize until you come in to recovery, or I didn't even realize how many survival traits that I developed, because they're just so there. You're comfortable with them. You've been conditioned. You're so used to being called those names. You're so used to being treated like a doormat. It just, it's like, so being used to having drama in your life and chaos. You just can't function without it because you're just so conditioned. And sitting here and just being calm and having nothing to do and just your own beautiful thoughts of happiness and thankfulness, it's like, whoa, look where I've come. Look where I can be. I'm not promising it'll be like that in an hour. The kids might be climbing down my throat and I'll be like, losing my crap. But I can, video call you in a bit and say, look what's going on. And you'll be like, kids, blah, 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 blah. And we'll talk it out or whatever. But I can turn it around and make it a happy thing. Look what I get to do. Look at these beautiful children I get to spend time with and enjoy my life with, and not feel burdened by anything around me, because I'm creating my own peace and serenity. I'm deciding that I'm not going to put up with domestic violence in my life, and I'm going to help other people who suffer from it and help them find resources and teach my kids that they have rights and they don't have to put up with being mistreated or disrespected or being told that they're less than they are. We're all beautiful children of our higher powers, and we have to relish in that. We have to feel blessed by that, and it's so important. It's so important.
Let's talk about that mental abuse for a little bit. It's funny now, like, and I didn't really realize this, and I mean, I've realized this lately. But like, I start doing my makeup more, doing my hair more, and I feel like, and they're like, and then I know people like, wow, and then I start taking more pictures more. And I feel like every time I take a selfie and I'm smiling, I'm like, I earned this shit. And I'm safe to wear whatever I want to wear and do my hair any way I want to wear without, because jealousy is another form of mental abuse. When your person tells you, what are you looking so good for? Who the fuck's attention are you trying to get? That is like, okay, so you want to dress down, you don't want to give attention from anyone else because you don't want that ugly jealousy. Jealousy is not love. That's another form of mental abuse, because they want to mold you. They want you to realize that you are their property. And again, that was another thing, that I went through. And now I'm like, I earn this shit. I'll wear what I want when I want. I'll do my hair the way I want. And if I want to be pretty today, it's okay, because no one is going to tell me that who am I looking good for? You know who I'm looking good for? I'm looking good for me. And if it's okay, Mandy, I have a reading that kind of goes hand in hand with what I just said.
Definitely.
One of the first things I heard in Al-Anon was that we didn't have to accept unacceptable behavior. This idea helped me to see that I need not tolerate violence or abuse, and that I had choices I hadn't even recognized before. I set some limits, not to control others, but to offer myself guidelines so that I would know what was and what was not acceptable and what to do about it. A few years ago, I was congratulating myself. Hear that? I was congratulating myself on how I no longer had such problems, when I suddenly realized that there was still one person from when I regularly accepted unacceptable behavior, and that one person was myself. And blaming myself when things went wrong, I never gave myself credit for my efforts. I told myself I was commonly thoughtless, lazy, stupid. I would never say those things to a friend. I realized that until I started treating myself like a valued friend, I would be standing in the way of my own recovery. Today's reminder: I have been affected by a disease of attitude. When I treat myself with love and approval, I know that I am recovering. Let one therefore keep the mind pure for what a man thinks that he's becoming. So I love that reading because I don't think I did value myself. Like, I've always worked very hard. I've always gone to school. I've always taken care of the house. So how many jobs do we have? We took care of the house. We took care of the abuser. We took care of the addict, because in 90% of the cases, abuse and addiction go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
So we're taking care of the addict. We're making sure they're okay. We're taking care of the house, taking care of the bills, going to work full time, taking care of the children. How many jobs is that? That yet we would not see our value, what our value was. We were so grateful that they'd get up and go to work or whatever. So today I value myself. I value myself, and I value the amazing people that my higher power has put in my life. And they say that teachers come and go and some are meant to stay. And so I've come to see this in the last few years, that some very amazing people have come into my life with a special message. And one is a man, and he was one of my sponsors, and he's still very close to me. Every day we talk. But God put that person in my life, the first male in my life that was as close of a friend as a friend could be, and was real and raw. And first person, a male, that said, you do not deserve to be treated like that. This is not your fault. And I was so grateful. I'm so grateful for that person, because, again, a reminder that I don't deserve to be abused. I don't deserve to treat myself any less than I would treat a friend. If my friend came to me and had bruises, if my friend came to me and said her guy was calling her all these horrible names, I would tell her, no, that's not okay. But yet it would be okay for me to let people talk to me like that. So today I'm very grateful for the teachers that God has put in my way, in my life, that have given me these amazing messages and helped me with my growth of who I am today. My employee is a pretty awesome person.
Definitely, definitely. And it's just so hard, like you were saying, surviving that abuse in the home. You learn from the dysfunction of others. It's conditioning, like I said before, but you have to say enough is enough, and it's not okay. Like you said, it's not okay. I have another reading here from Days of Healing, Days of Joy, um, because it's so hard because suicide has affected me, and I know people who have committed it, and they've had way different situations than what I was driven to. I mean, I was suicidal in high school, so from childhood trauma. And then in my marriage, I only felt it by a touch, but I had people to reach out to that I'd met in the program who had also gone through the same similar thoughts. So it was very nice to have that networking and meet so many people who are working on their recovery and not judgmental like the normies we call them. So I'll get into this reading here from April 8th. Often the test of courage is not to die, but to live. A rest days. Some life situations can be so bitter, so devastating, we simply wish we had the courage to die rather than face them anymore. How much courage would it take, we may wonder, to just end it all? But courage is not the right word. In truth, it takes more courage to live than it does to die, to take up the broken pieces of our lives, to stand fast against our destructive patterns of thought and behavior without giving in. This is courage of the highest order. In our worst depressions, it takes courage to call a friend, go to a meeting, read inspirational literature, and we can find that courage. We can learn with the help of God as we understand God and of those who love us, to count our blessings, to consider what is right with us and the world, to discover all the love that surrounds us. The debilitating boundaries we have learned cannot confine us if we don't back off. Sheer courage and courage alone is what it takes to move these boundaries into healthier territory. Today I will say yes to life, yes to love, yes to my own power to make positive decisions. Woo! I almost got to tears in that one.
Got me in tears. That courage. Again, Mandi and I are the fortunate ones because we know people that gave up. That was their only way. That was their solution, was to leave us. Because, and I know, and Mandi has been in that crossroad where I just want to die, and attempts have been made. And by the grace of God, we're still here. I'm so grateful she's here today. So grateful, because she's my best friend. And but we've been there. We've been there where we're like, wow, is this what you had planned for me, God? Just to be someone's punching bag? Is this the life you chose for me? Well, that's not the life you chose for me.
Mm-hmm.
That was the life I was willing to settle for. And through recovery and through people like that I have in my life, I'm so grateful to have so many amazing people in my life. And for me, right along with recovery is my faith. My faith is so strong today that, any negative that does happen is because I know it's going to be a lesson of growth.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lesson, not a punishment. It's no longer that I don't no longer see him as a punishment. I see him as growth. And I do have the courage to live. And that does take an awful lot of courage. But we know people that don't have those tools. They don't have that best friend they can call. And so they've chosen to leave us. And it's very painful when someone leaves us like that, because we are powerless. We're powerless. There's nothing we could do to save that person, because there's nothing we could do, because it's, and so we are so powerless over other people and their choices. All we can do is keep sharing our stories. And Mandi and I, we're not doctors, we're not therapists. We're just two women who have gone through hell and back. And we are in a good place in our lives today because the hell that we lived in brought us to where we are today, which is helping other women, other men, and being there for each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm crying now because that reading, I didn't read it before. I just skimmed the top and said, yeah, this looks like a good one. Because I do that, I only prepared for, hey, I'm getting worse. The more we do these podcasts, the less I prepare. I have no notes. All I have is like page numbers and a couple book things. I'm getting more like wing it, girl. We're getting to where we can do live sessions now and maybe even video. Who knows? We were talking about that. We hadn't mentioned that because we've been going through so many things. We haven't even talked about the podcast because we had so much going on in our lives outside of it. But this one line in here, to take up the broken pieces of our lives, to stand fast against our destructive patterns of thought and behavior without giving in, without feeling like I'm a failure, because I know that I've done things wrong, but I know I'm doing them better. This is courage. It's all about courage. And I didn't even realize till reading this reading how courageous, and people always tell me, oh, you're so strong, I can never do what you've done. And even my dad, like, for him to say I couldn't do what you've done, that's crazy, because to me he's like the best guy in the world. He's like my hero, and him saying he can't do what I do, that's huge. So I mean, right there, yes to love, yes to life, yes to all these things that we can do. We've done them. Like, look at all the things that we've done, and we can, you say negative is growth. It's true. We've been talking about how pain is a good thing because you learn from it. You learn from it and you grow. You hope you do. And you have that courage to live. And I still have those days where I just want to give up. I'm so tired. I just don't want to do it anymore, but I don't feel I want to end my life. I still love my life. I'm just tired, and I'm just saying it out loud to make it realize, let it go, and then pick up myself and move on and do what I have to do. And then maybe be a little more gentle with myself that evening, take it easy and not do the to-do list that night. And I have been able to learn that from going through my pain and through the steps of my painful childhood and working this program or all the different programs and really healing. I didn't realize I just slapped all these Band-Aids on for years and years. And I didn't actually really deal with the deep hurt and what I needed to let go of. It was so weird concept to me just to let go. I'm like, what do you mean let go? How do you just let go? How? And it takes time. It's like making a boundary. I wasn't perfect at boundaries when I started. I didn't even know what the hell. I was like doing ultimatums. I'm like, no, that's not right. It took me a while to figure out what a real boundary was. And that I could tweak them anytime and change them and add more or take away some, and having boundaries with myself and boundaries with my kids. It's very important for my peace and serenity because I have a voice and I matter, and I'm not the bottom of the totem pole, even though a lot of days I do feel like I am. But that's where I have to take care of myself. I matter. I count.
I'm going to do the shout out for the guys too right now, because I know a lot of big brawny men. And Mandi and I are so fortunate because we have like a balance. We have a lot of male friends in the program, and not even in the program. I think people that just put into our lives for whatever reason. And Mandi and I have each other. We can cry. It's okay for a woman to cry. These men who have been either abused as a child, and then they grow up very codependent and very caretakers. And they don't think because they're this big brawny man, because the world's still saying men don't cry. I welcome a man that cries. I welcome that. I say it's okay. It's okay. Because we have those tools, and every so often we're reminded again, we come across a man who's a big brawny man who, because of our tools and because of who we are, they know it's safe to be a little vulnerable with us. And, we don't tell them, we're not therapists. We just share our own personal experience. And it's okay to feel what you're feeling. I think is the most powerful message to share with someone. It's okay to feel what you're feeling. It's okay. It's okay to feel what you're feeling. If you need to cry and you need to go in the bathroom because you can't do it out in front of everyone, that's okay. Go in the bathroom and cry. If you need to go up on the hill and park and cry, it's okay to do that. It doesn't make you less of a person because those feelings are real. And you're the fortunate one that you can feel those feelings, because many people still with addiction, how have we gone through our feelings for so long? I know for me, I would numb them. Whatever whatever. Give me anything. I don't want to feel what I'm feeling. I want to be numb. I want to be a robot. I don't want to feel any of that shit. And I slip. I still slip. I don't slip with drugs or alcohol or anything anymore. But I have other slips. Like, my sponsor calls them little distractions. To avoid feeling what I'm feeling. But when I'm private or I'm talking to Mandi or I'm alone in my room, I can cry all I want. I can go and hide in the bathroom and cry because those tears are healing. They're healing. They're going to help you heal. And the more you cry, the more you're going to cleanse and the more you're going to feel. And it's okay to feel all these feelings. And again, I can't say it enough. We're really the fortunate ones because today I don't want to die. I want to live. Today, I would not let any man or woman disrespect me. Maybe for a second, because I have to gather my thoughts, because I don't want to make an amends after someone's nasty to me. Take a deep breath, walk away, come back and say, that was not okay what you just said to me. But that's what the tools of the program do to us. We don't lash out. We practice the pause. I have an awesome reading. Let's cheer us up a little bit. It's a really good one. It's about hope. Hope. Hold on 1 second. I lost my page. Yep. Go back to you, Mandi. I lost my page.
That's fine. No, and I like how, the reading you read last, the Almond reading, was about don't accept unacceptable behavior. It took me a while to even understand what was unacceptable behavior. I had to learn what I didn't have to put up with. Because, it's really hard when you're conditioned and you only know what was around you. So where do you learn from? You learn from other people that share how they feel and how they feel loved and how they feel respected. And then you learn what unacceptable behavior is.
I found it. Okay. So again, I just want to tell everyone today, we know there's a lot of triggers. If you take nothing with you, take this. You are worth the effort. You are worth it. Whoever your higher power is, did not put you on this earth to be someone's doormat. They did not put you on this earth to be muted. Your voice is important. And the more you speak up and you speak up for yourself, you will encourage the next generation to speak up. And I say that because I was thinking, Mandi and I both have little ones, little girls in our lives. And Mandi's little one is a little saucy girl. She's as cute as can be. But I have a little niece that's just as sassy. Yeah. And I was thinking that today when I looked at the little photo I took yesterday, a little superhero outfit. I thought, that little girl will never, ever let a man disrespect her or a woman. And I'm sure Mandi's little one will never pity the fool that tries to disrespect that little girl. And that's because of us using our voice and encouraging them to be strong women. So here's this. This one's on hope.
All right.
Okay. It says, there have been days when many of us felt that good times would never come again. After so many disappointments, it seemed too painful to continue to hope. We shed our hearts and minds to our dreams and stopped expecting to find happiness. We weren't happy, but at least we wouldn't be let down anymore. Caring, hoping, wanting, these are risky. But as we recover from the effects of alcoholism and drugs, we may find an abuse. I'm going to add abuse in there. We may find that the risks are worth taking. In time, it may not be enough to simply avoid disappointments. We want more. We want rich, full, exciting lives and joy as well as sorrow. Just finding the willingness to believe that joy can exist in our lives today can be very challenging, but until we make room in our hearts for good times, we may not recognize them when they arrive. Nobody is happy all the time, but all of us are capable of feeling good. We deserve to allow ourselves to experience every bit of joy life has to offer. In today's reminder, it says, I will not let fear of disappointment prevent me from enjoying this day. I have great capacity for happiness. I want to grow in my willingness to make room in my life for good times, having faith in their arrival and patience in my anticipation. That's from Courage to Change. This is one of my favorite Al-Anon books to read. And so I'm going to go with this. So Mandi and I have been talking about our abuse, and we could go on. We could write a book on abuse because we've both gone through so much. But today, that girl, my girl Mandi, has a genuine smile because she is living a life that she probably dreamed of. And today, through all the scars, and both of us have scars so deep we thought we'd never heal from them. But we have. We are. And we are taking that chance of, even though our number one abuser was a man, and we've forgiven them. We've forgiven our abusers, because that's what this program shows us, how to forgive. Because we forgive not for them, not only for them, but to forgive so we can move forward. Because we can't hate them. Because many times, if we look at our abusers, we look at their childhood, we look at, their addiction. So nobody grows up to say, hey, I want to grow up to be an abuser. These men and women that are abusing other people, that wasn't their 5-year-old child dream. Hey, when I grow up, I want to be able to give a woman a black eye and stick a needle in my arm. That's not any kid's dream to grow up. So what happens between childhood and adulthood? So they may have been abused themselves, it's a cycle. It's an unfortunate cycle. So, but we forgive them because it's a disease. It's a disease. We don't welcome that abuse again, but we forgive them because we know that they're not healthy, mind, body, and spirit. So today, Mandi and I, we're taking those chances. We're taking those chances of not everyone is going to cause us hurt. Not everyone is going to physically, mentally, and emotionally and sexually abuse us. There are good people out there. And we had to get into a place in ourselves, in our recovery, that we were actually healthy enough and happy enough within ourselves. Like, we can be alone. Mandi and I, we're totally happy being single, doing our thing. But now to allow someone else into our lives, it's because we're at a healthy place that we can see a healthy person versus the fear of just attracting the unhealthy people. And that is recovery. And so I'm 56. I'm a little older than Mandi. And I will say the last couple of years have been a lot of pain, a lot of scars. But it's been so rewarding. So rewarding that I can talk about sexual assault. I can talk about domestic violence. And I'm not wearing a shame jacket no more. That's not my shame to carry. But I'm a survivor. I'm wearing that superhero cape. Because I survived, I'm alive, I'm not abusing my body anyway. I'm living today. I am living my best freaking life. And that is because of my higher power of recovery and my tribe.
Living and loving. Oh my gosh, you're so awesome. What a great reading, Good times again. The reading mentioned good times again. I never thought that I would have good times again. I was living a life that I had lost hope. Like, oh my gosh, this is not the way I want to live. This is not the way I want my kids. I don't want to live in constant fear. I don't want to live in constant fight or flight, the anxiety, the unknown, walking on eggshells, basically. Unpredictable. So, coming in, and then fears and disappointments. The reading mentioned disappointments as well. So I did what I had to do, and it was temporary. So recovery taught me it was temporary. You just got to sometimes slow, sometimes quickly. And when you're first coming in, I found I was so busy trying to take care of my littles. I didn't have a lot of time. So I only had to take the time I could and learn as I could, which was slow. But, you see healthy people, you start to recognize, like you said, healthy relationships, the green flags, not the red flags. And I've learned to be honest about my own path with people. I am not perfectly healthy. I have things that I'm working on, and I admit to them because saying them out loud and being honest is part of the recovery program too. You can't do this and heal properly if you're going to keep covering stuff up. And it's very hard to develop a habit where you don't cover stuff up because you're used to doing that as well. putting on a front, putting on a face, pretending to be happy and smiley, forcing it, like we talked about earlier in this podcast. I love how you said you don't wear the shame jacket. That's really cool. I've never heard that one before. Superhero capes only, the shame jacket. Man, that jacket is heavy and it is ugly, and I hated wearing that thing. And it's so nice to just shed it and put it on fire and let it go. And then learning that when you do something that you normally would feel shameful for before, you don't have to feel shame. You can say, oh, I made a mistake. I'm not a mistake. I just made a mistake. And I can learn from that, and I can fix the mistake sometimes too. So, no problem. I don't have to cry over this spilt milk. Just clean it up. And boy, but I went shopping yesterday and milk is so damn expensive. So don't spill the milk. So I get on the kids about that. Don't waste your milk. I would give them very little. Mom, why'd you give me a shot of milk? I'm like, because I don't want you to waste it. When you drink that, you'll get another shot. But that's my superhero story, Kate, right? Mom of three, trying to feed three and trying to keep, my head on my shoulders. But such a great reading because you don't want to lose hope. And I think back to all the times I had to leave the house really fast and walk around the park for hours waiting for someone to pass out or calm down so I could come back to the house and just ignore them basically because I got hounded. I would go and try and make it fun for the kids, even though, hanging out at the park for 5 hours is not my cup of tea every time I have to escape the house. It's my house. I want to be able to be in my house. Now I can. Now I never leave the damn house. But I want my kids to feel safe in my house. I want to feel safe in my house. It's so important to me. I don't care if it's messy and dirty and there's clothes and toys and you know what? That stuff is nothing because everyone's happy. Everyone wants to come to my house. They feel loved and supported and fed and, and heard, and they feel comfortable. And I kind of grew up a little bit like that. Like there were times when everybody was calm and the people could come over, but I don't know if my parents just saved it till when no one was around, but the fireworks and dynamite that would go off sometimes. I'm glad people weren't around to hear that. Sometimes at family functions, but so, you grow up with it, you're used to it. You marry it, you're used to it.
Mm-hmm. And so there's so many 12-step recoveries out there. The ones that we hear a lot about are like NA, which is Narcotics Anonymous, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, Mandi Girl, CODA, ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics, all of these. And Mandi has one, Emotions Anonymous. And that I've really been growing from her with this because I feel like I'm feeling these feelings. And another one of our sisters, that's also a survivor of abuse. I shared a couple of Mandi's readings with her, and she's like, oh my gosh. And she's been going to therapy. It doesn't work. She goes to, and you know what? And we're not here to say, do what we did, because you know what? Everybody has a path. Some people therapy does work. Some people just sitting in church, 10 hours a day, that works for them. And, I'm happy, whatever it takes for you to go from where you were to where you want to be, power to you. That's between you and your higher power. And higher power in this program, if you don't know, higher power is the God of your understanding. So for me, it is God. Some people it's a Buddha. Some people, you find your own higher power. And when you first come in recovery, and I know Mandi knows where I'm going with this, is so we're pissed off. We're pissed at God. Like, well, God, if you were such an awesome God, why would you let me have these scars? Why would you have had me abused? Why would you have all these horrible things happen to me? And so today, I had to make an amends to God, because he didn't have these things happen to me. These things just happened to me. And today I'm grateful to God, and I made peace with him that every little dirty thing that's happened to me in my life, every little scar that's covered me inside and out, has led me to being a strong woman today, a woman that can use her words. Like when, even at work, I can say I'm not really approachable today. And, and my coworkers, because I've opened up a little bit at work, where they know I'm just having maybe an emotional day. I'm not approachable. but I want to feel my feelings. I don't want to suck it up. I don't want to suck it up. I hate that phrase. I hate suck it up, buttercup. I hate all those phrases because that's telling me to shut up, and I've shut up long enough. So if you do not have a higher power, and this, I've seen this, for me, it can be my yard. I can go to my yard and I can see the roses or, all these beautiful trees, and I can just talk to this tree and talk to this nature. Nature is really, really very much a higher power for a lot of people. So, it's okay to be upset with God because why did these horrible things happen? But then at some point you understand why they happened. And some of us, it was a gift because today I can help another woman or another man with everything I've gone through. Because look at me, I'm alive and I'm smiling and I'm laughing. And I know, and Mandi too. Mandi has every reason to smile today. And 7 years ago when we met, she didn't really have a reason to smile except for 3 beautiful little babies. And with the tools of this program, whatever room, whatever resource you use to help you heal, you're worth the healing. And you do not have to go through this alone. Because I don't want to read about anyone in the newspaper. I don't want to read that was the only solution you had, because that hurt so many people.
Yeah.
So many people. I want everyone here to imagine, because I know Mandi and I have a really good amount of followers here. I want everyone here to imagine for 1 minute if Mandi's suicide had been successful, or if my suicide had been successful. So I know there would be a lot of heartache out there. So if you're feeling like you need to give up because it doesn't seem like it's getting any better, the same heartache you would feel reading about me and Mandi making that is our solution. That's how many of us would feel about you. So just give it 1 more minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 day, 2 days, and reach out. Reach out, because no one deserves to be abused. No one deserves to be sexually, mentally, physically, financially abused. And you absolutely do not deserve to go through this alone. There are people and resources there for you. There's Domestic Violence Hotline. It's a great resource. There's Suicide Hotlines, another great resource. And here on our platform and on our Dragonflower recovery page, you can private message me and Mandi at any given time. And we have a lot of men and women who are willing to help anyone at any given time.
Yep, definitely. Thank you so much for mentioning that, Bobbie, because it's so true. Thinking about that, you just mentioning, think about how many people would have been affected if you or I would have gone through with it. And that hurts my heart so bad, because even the people that I've lost, I think about how many people it affected. And what do we talk about? It's courage, finding that courage to live, finding that courage to keep going. And, people are used to the instant gratification nowadays. It takes work. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not gonna pussyfoot around. You got to do the work. You've got to take care of yourself, and sometimes it's very basic. Very basic is getting a good meal, getting some good sleep, getting rid of toxic environment around you and people around you. Even the movies you watch, the books you read, the stuff that you take in, that attitude, changing your attitude to a more positive thing. You said nature. Nature is such a beautiful, positive environment to let go of all those negative things and let in the positive, let in the beauty of life, the beauty around you that's so wonderfully free, and everywhere you can go, you can get into nature and the animals and the plants and the sun, and it just makes you feel so good. And that's where you can really just let everything go. And I also hate that suck it up thing, but what you were talking, I got from you, scars are strength. Scars are strength, and voice is power. Voice is power. And we've been talking about that the whole podcast, really. Really, we have. Whatever it takes to get where you need to go. You had said that. It's so true. And I just, yeah, finding that courage, because it is really courage. I have this one last reading I want to share. It's from A Life of My Own. It's Meditations on Hope and Acceptance. It's a really great book. And it's October 1st. And its inventories define who we are. We have had lots of practice, no doubt, defining other people's defects. Looking at their defects is far easier than looking at our own. We avoid looking at ourselves out of shame and fear, sometimes even arrogance. Asking others to share how they did a personal inventory will give us a pattern to follow. Beginning with our positive characteristics gets us over the hump of resistance. But we need to willingly look at our defects too. It's the defects that we want to change, but until we acknowledge them, we can't expect to change them. One of the greatest blessings of this program is that we can learn how to change. Our defects are our stumbling blocks, and we can kick them out of the way. I like that. I will watch for my defects today. Any I don't want, I don't have to keep. Accentuating my assets will help. Makes me think of that song. We gotta, accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. I was going to sing it, but I couldn't remember the tune. But I love that song, and it's so true. And that's what I've been concentrating on lately: dispelling all negative thoughts, dispelling all negative energies, dispelling all negative anything. Anything I'm like, oh, words even, using different words. Instead of saying I should, I'm like, no, I could. Or I'm saying, say I have to, I get to. And it's, listen to the difference. I have to do the dishes. I get to do the dishes. Just to say, the difference in that makes such a world. You got to think positively. You really do. You have to change your thoughts around. And some days it's harder than others. You just have to get into those habits. It's like those habits of having boundaries for yourself as well.
I'm gonna go with this too, Mandi. So that time of year, so this time of the year when the podcast is coming out, we're going into fall and winter. And for a lot of people, for me, I'm a summer girl. I'm such a summer girl. If you guys see me, you would know I'm a summer girl. I love the water. I love the hot weather. So when fall comes and winter comes, I've been doing this the last few years, and it's so healthy for me. Because, in the fall, it's like the trees are dying on the cut. But so let's focus on the beautiful. Look at the beautiful fall colors. Go for a little drive and look at all the colors changing. And then winter comes and all the trees are, going to sleep for the winter. My sunflowers are completely asleep for the summer, for the winter. But then I remember all those beautiful seeds from summer are starting to germinate, and in spring. So we're just like the seasons. We are. In the fall, we start to shed some of the colors, shed some of the scars. In the winter, we take time to rest and to heal. And then in the spring, wow, where is this beautiful person coming from? It's us. We're beautiful. We're just like the seasons. So during the seasons when it changes and it's harder for you to get outside, just imagine that tree that's asleep right now, before you know it, it's going to be so gorgeous. And, you can reach out, look at old photos of the spring. And I love to do that. I love to take a lot of photos and look back and, oh, it's just a few more weeks before summer comes. Oh, just a few more weeks before spring comes. And go to a happy place, or read a happy book, talk to happy people, get your tribe going, get your winter tribe going. People that, like to bundle up in a blanket and drink hot cocoa and just have a little face-to-face, video chat with your friends. And find that happy group, your winter group that, you can share some positive love with, because it really does help, especially when you're struggling and you're currently living in an abusive relationship. Have that one person. And sometimes you have to keep it a secret because the abuser does not want you to have any positive in your life. So you find little ways to just sneak around, and then one day you'll be like that beautiful tree. All of a sudden the leaves are on again. It's gorgeous and you're strong and powerful. And you're worth it.
Yes, definitely. I love that. Get out in nature, change your environment. That's what I had to do. You feel stuck, you have to just get out, change a view, change your view, your scenery, go for a walk, go for a hike. My cousin gave me a nice camera, so I'd like to get out more and take more pictures this year. I find it's so easy to just stay in and hide from everything. But I have to have the courage to overcome my fears and get out more and do things, you know? It's really hard sometimes though. My feelings overcome me. And you said, you know, you mentioned Emotions Anonymous. It's, you know, you're powerless over your emotions sometimes, just like you're powerless over others, powerless over your addictions. You just learn to, you have the tools. You have to pause. You have to turn your negatives into positives and change your wording and try all the different things. Have that list of tools. You know, you actually, if you need an actual toolbox, go out and buy a little toolbox and put down on pieces of paper all these little tools and hints and throw them in there. I remember doing an activity once. I don't remember if it was on a group or whatever, and people actually wrote like slogans, and they drew like a hammer and they cut it out in the shape of a hammer, like an actual tool, and they wrote the slogans on it. It was a really cool concept. I loved that. So,
or a God box. And another thing people would do, they would put write on their little post-its, and they just put all their little thoughts and prayers and things they want to start trying, and then randomly reach in there and just pull one out. Okay, today I'm going to try this.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here and listening today. I think that's all I've got today, Bobbie. How about yourself? Anything extra you want to add there to our listeners? Except please share. Please come back and listen. Go to our Facebook page. Reach out to us. You can go on the website, trudgingtogether.com, to contact anybody from the team, and they'll get you to us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear from our listeners.
More importantly, don't give up. Do not give up. Do not give up. You are worth a life happy, joyous, and free.
Find that courage. And if you can't find it, come and ask us. We'll help you find it. We'll help you get
from the Lord.
So thank you so much. Mandi here. Bobbie there.
Bobbie, love you guys. Thanks for being with us.